Alright, so this video allows you to take your animation from from this file and put it onto the template with the triangles, which you should have downloaded right here. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 tell you how to do it. In the timeline of animation, select the menu on the far right of the panel and then select flatten frames into layers. So that's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is going to click on our first layer and then hold down shift and then click on our last layer. You might not need to do that, but just in case, we're going to do it. So, and then you find this little hamburger menu in the right side of your timeline, click it, and we're going to say flatten frames into layers. And as you can see, it added all of our layers in there. So I'm just going to select all of those layers again by clicking on the top one, holding shift, and then clicking on the last one. And then I'm going to put those in a folder. So I'm going to title that animation. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that animation over to my other project. So I'm going to grab it, drag it up, and highlight the tab at the top. And then I'm not going to let go until I drag it right onto the middle of my canvas, and then I'm going to let go. Right. So there I have my face, my animation on there, right? So the next step is to click on frame 27 and then go all the way down to frame 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the bottom of my layers panel. I'm looking for this little chain link. So I'm going to click the chain link, and that links all my images together. So if I move one, they're moving together. If you don't do that, when you go to place it into your design, it's not going to place correctly because you're only going to place one at a time, and we want to make sure that we're moving them all together. All right, so then, so I'm then going to increase the size of it while holding shift so I get it exactly how I want it to look. All right, so I think I have it how I want it to look. Click check mark, and next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I keep my my animation folder underneath my diagonals. I want to have diagonals on top, and I'm just going to turn off the layer that has the text on it. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my magic wand. So I'm going to hit W, and it shows me where my magic wand is. I click magic wand, and actually I'm going to click on my diagonals, magenta, click on my magic wand, and I'm going to click a triangle. So I'm going to click in that first triangle where I put my thing. All right. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on my animation folder, and I'm going to come down to the bottom of my layers panel and click add new layer mask. Right. So, and you can delete all these other ones. I just wanted to keep those in there if anybody wanted to go look at how the thing was set up. But so I have my animation. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. So Control J is duplicate. So I duplicated it once, and I'm just going to rotate it and put it over here on the right. All right, click check mark, and then I'm going to duplicate it again. Control J. I'm going to rotate it once again. Rotate it. I'm holding shift as I rotate it so that it stays on my 4590 sizes. All right, and then I'm going to rotate it one more time. Control J, and rotate it around. Right, and I'm going to put this one right here. So I want these to all be in the same spot, but the only way to do that is to kind of turn. I'm going to turn back on. So I'm going to turn off all these layers, and I'm just going to go to my very first one. So and it just does that automatically when you oops, I have two more on. It does that automatically when you duplicate it the first time. So I'm just going to do that in every folder, and I'm just dragging. I'm clicking on one of them and just dragging my mouse over the others to turn them all off at the same time. And make sure you have them all. So I have all my things in here. To see where my triangles line up. So this is my, it's not quite lining up where I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. if you want to see everything, like if your frame is, if it's not filling up the whole square, what you can do is you can just add a simple black background to the layer as you work on it. So I'm just gonna drag, well, I'm gonna unlock it, and then I'm gonna drag it into my folder real quick. That way I can just see where my triangle lands. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to the top here, and I'm just gonna click on this and use my arrow keys, or you can just drag it. I'm just gonna line it up with the triangles on the page. That way I know I'm getting them all in the same spot. Alright, I'm gonna put my black background in my other folder, close that first one. Alright, it doesn't matter where you put it in the folder. You just want to line it up though, so that your triangle's in the right spot. And I'm going to drag my background, put it in my next folder. So I'm going to drag this and put it in my next folder. Or, I mean, if you want, you can just put your own background in each of these. But if you just want to just drag it in, you can. But either way will work. So I'm just lining it up so that my my triangle fits into the space provided. Right, so right there, and put this right here, and then I'm just gonna add that back to the background. I must have moved it at some point. And again, if you move something out of its order, you can just drag it back into place. Right, so I have my square, and I have my black background behind it, and I know all of these are in the same place because I lined it up with the triangles by moving the folder. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna turn off my diagonals, and I'm gonna actually tab up my my black background a little bit because I see a gap at the top, gap on the side and at the top. All right, so now I'm gonna create my animation. All right, so I'm going to just come down here. If it doesn't say animation, you can change it from timeline to animation by clicking on that caret on the right. Click frame animate, create frame animation, and you created your first one. All right, so for this you have to have every single one of them on the same frame. So frame 1, and then I'm going to click the next one, frame 2, and I'm going to turn off frame 1, go to frame 2 in this one, and then the second one I'm going to go to frame 2, frame 2, turn off the first one, and then the third one, do the same. Frame 2, and then in my last one, frame 3, I'm going to do the same. So these are just all my things, and then I'm just going to literally do this for every single one of these until I get to frame 27. So I'm going to have 27 frames down here, and each of these are going to correspond to each of the frames down here. So I'm going to click another one. So frame 3, so I'm turning off frame 2, turning it to frame 3, and in this group I'm going to do the same, 3, frame 3, and then the last one. So I'm going to keep doing this and build my animation. Once I'm done with going through all 3 of those, all 27 of those, I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Export, and then I'm going to click Save for Web. All right. Remember, if you need to change the time on your thing, I had mine at different seconds, but you just go click on that little second thing and you have different seconds down here that you could do. You could even type in one. So go File, Export, Save for Web. We did these at pretty large scale, 2550. You could probably reduce that to 1,000, or if you really wanted to save space, you could do 500. But 1,000, we want to make sure it says GIF at the top here. We want to say the looping is forever, and we're going to click Save. right? It's going to come up with the name, and then it should say .gif at the end. Click save, and that should give us our document. If we go to Chrome or wherever, let's see if we can open this file, open file, and I think I saved it to my documents. Right, so there it is. I didn't go through all my transitions, but essentially that's what we need to do. So it should, if it doesn't move, that means you didn't save it correctly. So go back and do that export again. But that's the last step of our animation. And then on the following week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out something, and you guys are gonna do something differently with these animations. All right. So that's it. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, again, call me around, and I'll come and help you.